YouTube, what is up? Jamie the Kid 00 here, coming at you guys with amateur vision. This is literally the only camera angle that would work in my car. I'm literally just driving home from work now, and I wanted to do a quick talk about the limited and forbidden list that's just been released. Oh my word, it is ridiculous. The things that have come off make me really happy. I'm not actually upset about this list, about any single card in there, possibly except for Raigeki, but we'll get to that in maybe a more detailed video. But I just wanted to talk about my highlights of the list. I'm really sorry about the lighting. It's illegal to drive with the actual light on in the car, and it's 8 PM here in sunny England. So this is the best lighting you're going to get. Street lamps, which are just coming on, even though it's been dark for a couple hours now. Anyway, to talk about my actual highlights of the list, we have to start off with Glow Bulb. You guys know that I've really loved Plants ever since 2011 when I started playing competitively. Plants was the deck which I really put myself to quite a lot, and regrettably Glow Bulb was not around for as long as I would have liked. I didn't get to play it for very long, but it was without a shadow of a doubt my favourite card, of course, in tandem with things like Lone Fire Blossom and, of course, the Dandelion. So I'm definitely looking forward to rebuilding a deck with those 4 cards within it, along with some of the more broken things like Redox. On the same topic, Redox was something that I joked with friends about, saying it is the single reason why Glow Bulb won't come back, simply because of the fact that if you have both in hand, you can basically make any level synchro dependent on what is in your graveyard, because you can revive a monster using the Redox effect by ditching it in the Glow Bulb, and then have the bulb come straight back. And that in and of itself is a silly effect, in my opinion. It's a silly coupling. And I'm really looking forward to using it, but I don't think that it's something that should have come back. Something that should have happened, and I don't believe the card should have come back, because there are going to be silly ways to use it. It's not abusive in any imagination. Like it doesn't really make combos that much bigger than they already were, but it definitely makes the slower control plant deck a much more viable option again, because it's something that you can use and then have in the grave ready to use again at a later date. Moving on to Raigeki. Raigeki was a card that I feel it can come back. I definitely feel that it can come back, because established boards are a huge thing. They're very easy to make, and breaking them in even trade does not necessarily mean that you're going to go even in breaking them, because a lot of these boards are +1s in and of themselves. So I feel that in a vacuum game state, Raigeki is a good card. However, we have to remember this is a 2-player game, and both players can have big established fields. Now, what Darkhold did that Raigeki didn't do is it destroyed both fields, meaning that it created a level-ish playing field, of course, dependent on not anti-destruction effects and whatnot, but that's getting a bit too non-general. The balancing factor of Darkhold was you couldn't destroy your opponent's field and then just crush through, because you might go minus, but sorry, I'm concentrating on the roundabout. The problem with Raigeki is you're now able to just make a big board, or have a big board anyway. Sorry, you're not going to be able to see me for this stretch of road, because there are literally no street lights on this entire 70-mile-an-hour road. The thing about Raigeki is you can have an established board when you enter the turn, draw Raigeki, bleach your opponent's field, and swing. That's literally all it will take, and you win. Whereas with Darkhold, you wouldn't have that cushion. With Darkhold, you have to Darkhold them, then build the field and swing for a game. Raigeki does not have that. So in a vacuum game state, I like it. However, there are going to be so many game states where people are going to hold the Raigeki until they have the ideal OTK or winning damage field, and then just Raigeki you and swing. And there's going to be nothing you can do unless you have back row, which is diminishing a lot in a lot of the mage decks being played this format, with the exception, of course, of Jeff Jones's 20 trap Burning Abyss deck. But if we go by the average of what I've been seeing played recently, back row is definitely on the drop. A lot of decks are playing a lot less of it, unless you count Satellanites, which I don't rate that much anymore. So, and then we're now back on another row without streetlights. So that's my thoughts on Raigeki. Talk about some of the cards that went to 3. Reinforcement of the army is something that shouldn't have gone to 3, in my opinion. Gives too much strength to, of course, the Noble Knights, which Konami are going to try and push, because they want to sell stuff. Like, you can completely respect that. I realise my headlights aren't actually on. Another thing is it gives Evil Swarms a lot of turn 1 consistency, which I like, but they're irrelevant in this format. Like, they're not relevant except against Shadows, which took a hit. So Rotor going to 3 is a bit I kind of like it in some of the plant combo builds as well, because it means I'm going to get to my Marauding Captain or my Spell Striker a lot quicker, which is something that makes me very happy, but it could have stayed at 2. I would have been happy with it staying at 2. Also, I don't have that many supers, so now I have to go and hunt more supers. To talk about more things, Soul Charge to 1, very unhappy about that. It should have either gone to 0 or stayed at 3. Now it's going to become a sack card. It's not a deck build win condition anymore, like what it was in Sylvans and in the Hoban Shadow list. It's not used in the same manner anymore. It's going to be, okay, I have my 1 Soul Charge. Like, it's going to be balancing, I guess, when people are holding it, but it's going to be a card that people are going to top, or people are just going to have in the correct time. Like, it's going to be more touch and go, and it's going to get people salty. I like Honest being at 1 and things like that. Similarly, I really like the Super Polymerization has gone to 1, because I've recently been playing a lot of Shadows. My main deck at the moment is Shadows, and Super Polymerization is the most ridiculous card in the game right now, because the main decks in the format are light and dark. That's literally all there is to it. So the card should have gone to 1. It definitely should have. It could have gone to 2, but 1 is definitely very strong. But again, it's going to be you have your 1 Super Polymerization. Whereas before, it was a consistent card that you had to expect to run into and play around. So now it's going to increase the soul factor. But irrespective of that, you should be playing around it like you should always be playing around the Dark Hole, even though that's at 1. So that's just my 2 cents on that. Gore's going to 2. A lot of people have been going crazy about that, but you have to remember that in the OCG, Gore's is at 3. I know it's a much more imbalanced format. It's a lot more aggro. It's a lot more special summon oriented, but it's not that huge. Gore's going to. I like it. I really like it. I think it's strong with Glow Up Bulb as well, because I mean level 8's out the butt. But a lot of decks are going to have trouble playing Gore's, because we've got to remember that. Sanctum is still at 3, which is a card people hold for some periods of time. Vanity's Emptiness, that's the main thing, is still at 3. So Gore's is incompatible with any deck that plays Emptiness, and Emptiness is the biggest card of the format right now. So I can't see Gore's making that huge a comeback. But decks that don't play or can't play Emptiness will definitely be capitalizing on the Gore's. So that's my 2 cents on that. Do I think Vanity's Emptiness should have got hit? Definitely, but if it... the fact that it didn't get hit, I really don't care about, because I have 3, so it means that I didn't lose money on getting those 3 in until the reprint comes out in the 5Ds collection, because that's totally going to happen. Gale to 2, really nice. Definitely isn't going to impact the format that much, but for Blackwing players, it's very nice. It's definitely a child of a different format, so it doesn't need to be at 1. However, the same can be said for Bestiary, and we aren't seeing that back at 2 yet, for some reason, even though I think it should be back. Wolfbark to 3, that was something that was kind of random to me. I didn't really expect that, but it's kind of nice. I feel that Fire Fist are nowhere near the deck they used to be, because the format has moved on, it's gotten a lot more powerful. However, I do see Fire Fist having a rather nice time with that triple Emptiness. I do foresee a Fire Fist control deck coming around, which is going to cause problems. So I definitely wouldn't write the deck off. I definitely think it's going to be like a 1.5 to tier 2 competitor with the 3 Wolfbark. However, we have to stress that I guess the Tellarknights do its job far better, so that's going to be a thing. That's another thing I didn't talk about with reinforcement of the army. Puts the Tellarknights back on the map massively, because it gives them 3 more. It gives them an extra rotor, because it is a rotor, which is kind of nice. Trying to think of the last bits and bobs now before I have to stop with you guys and go back to the house, because Destinies are calling and we're back home, and hopefully. I'm really sorry about the brakes, you can hear them screeching, I really need to get that fixed. But yeah, we are back home now, so I'm actually going to pick up the old phone and take you out of there. So, yeah, awful lighting. So, to summarise, those are the main things that really spring to mind on the list. Transmigration of Prophecy and things like that really don't affect me that much, they really don't affect the format that much. I feel like Transmigration is a very strong card, but it's kind of past its time. I'm going to cut the engine because it's growling away. No, I'm kidding. This car's a pussycat. But yeah, I think that brings me to about the end of this. I have to apologise for my massive absence recently. I've got some Burning Abyss deck profiles duels that I have to go up probably after this video goes up. And I've been playing a lot of Destiny, a lot, and I mean huge amounts of Destiny. But now that the new list has been announced, all the deck lists that I make aren't going to be obsolete. So I'm actually going to try and produce a little more of that. And hopefully they'll be a bit better lit than this video. Otherwise, that is about everything that I wanted to say. This has been JamieKid00, and I'll see you guys pretty soon with some actual new content, rather than just some stuff I pre-recorded so that I could cheat and play more Destiny. So that's all I have time for. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time with some more Yu-Gi-Oh! Related content. This has been JamieKid00. Peace!